staple them together to make the pattern. Somebody had stapled the coil wire because Bobby had put the coil up under the dash to hide it, put it out. So Bobby's up there.
He found that staple.
Finding it. Man, you come out of that dash real quick.
That's probably the reason I can't move now.
Yes, right.
Like we even shot, he's got a, what year's your gold Corvette?
71.
He's got a 71 all original gold. We even pulled it out and took pictures of it. So,
And softball.
and softball, so his daughter plays. The only reason he actually had me come over was take pictures of softball.
Right.
So I photographed her from softball to this big, and I actually photographed her wedding too, which was kind of cool. I was more nervous shooting her wedding than I've ever been shooting one of Bobby's cars.
I guess I'm kind of the new guy to the industry. I started 11 years ago and was fortunate enough, you know, for my podcast, I came from law enforcement, so I can talk to anybody and have talked to anybody. So people are easy for me.
I don't know about how easy it is. It's easy being friends.
Your people skills versus his people skills, it's different. I should talk to a lot more police officers than me.
Maybe I've learned all my people skills from all the police officers, from all the law enforcement interactions.
From the back seat.
We've never touched on this, especially with everybody together. What's the worst loss that you've ever had?
All right. Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Oil and Whiskey. This one, obviously, as you can tell, it's grown. We're in a bigger spot. Jesse's kind enough to invite us down here to, what's Ethos?
Ethos Craft Brewing.
Is it pronounced Ethos?
Yeah, it is. Just like the insurance company or the water that Starbucks sells.
Ethos is an insurance
We're probably going to get calls from lawyers now that we said that.
It's also Benelli
Nobody
shotgun.
listens to this. You're good.
It's a beautiful place.
Thank you.
We've been here for a couple hours, and everybody is here in the hot rod industry. So why not grab everybody together? Everybody's having a good time, so why not make it boring and tell them to sit down and let's get in front of mics. Bobby's super comfortable. Everybody can look at Bobby and be like, "This is this is something that he's into."
He's super comfortable. Or
We've got Bobby for 10 minutes and he's gone. No, I honestly
I don't
think
really have to put up with this.
that you don't. I know you don't.
There's a door right there.
I really think that it is, especially the three of you. I really would like to talk about, and this is not a shot at you about how old you are, right? We talked about that already. Super old. But you knew both of these guys at a very young age. We talked about earlier on your podcast, we talked about on your episode, you know, younger guys coming up, right? And attitudes and doing it the right way, you know, and really caring about the things that matter. Did you see that in these two guys?
These two guys are an example of that. They've come up the right way. They've not let it go to their heads. Both of them's done very, very well. I knew this one when he was perky. That one got me killed one of the first times when he was just a teenager. So
You saying we're not perky anymore, Bob?
You're not
We still got our
Jesse's
stinger.
not bad now.
We still got
Jesse's
our
a little
stinger
droopy.
now.
You can't just blow past
pointing
that
down.
story. I'm going to have to know
What?
about. You said you got you killed. What
He
happened?
did. You want me to tell it there, buddy?
Yeah, you can, or I will.
He brought
This was the first time I nearly killed him.
one of the
Just
first
time.
cars that he ever built. He brought to the Shades of the Past, and he had parked over there. That's when we was over at the farm in the grass. He was sitting behind it with a lawn chair, and he had drove up there. And I, of course, I was judging. And I got down and I looked under it. When I looked under it, I just rolled back out from under it. And I looked up at him and I said, he had a shock bolt that was hanging by like one screw, and it had just about fell out. When it would come out, it would have hit the ground. And he's back there with his little legs crossed in his little chair with his little fancy shirts on. And I said, "Son, you about got me killed." And he looked under it, and then sure enough, it was. But
It was about to fall off.
Was it?
Yeah.
and then
What was the car?
this one over here,
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't go there. But anyway, but I've known them
Oh gosh, it's
long,
been
long time,
long time.
and I've been friends with them. I don't know if they've been friends with me, but I've been friends with them for a long time. But guys, you've done really good. You've handled yourself very well and very well respected.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
We've had some good examples and good role models.
They're going to pixelate that out, right?
Yeah, we'll blur that whole thing.
He does not get seen. He does not get seen.
Just
Jesse,
5
what
seconds of
what
fame
year-
right there.
Jesse, what year was it when you brought the red 32 Roadster out?
That was in Columbus, I think we debuted it, maybe in 2004.
2004.
Yeah.
That's my earliest. Short of the, what was the Chevy or Mercury?
Yeah, that's 33 Chevrolet
Yeah.
Mercury that we did for Don Montgomery.
Yeah, I remember seeing that because that was before that, right?
Yeah, that was right before it.
But
man.
the little 32 Roadster, that was my earliest Jesse Greening interaction story.
Yeah.
Which we talked about just on the podcast just before this with Bobby about like being approachable and talking to people because I was just some fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And I walked
I
up.
was too,
Then?
dude.
I just was
No,
trying to.
that happened later.
You talking about Bob Lowe's car? Or?
Yeah.
No, it was
which one?
the little red one I did for myself
Okay.
Yeah.
back then. Because he's the one who's always told me, build a car for yourself. Build a car for yourself. It helps promote yourself. Then you can possibly sell it.
Yeah.
Reinvest the money back in, get another one going. He goes, eventually you're going to get one paid for. And I'll be damned, you're right, Bobby.
But that was a great car. And I remember coming up to you and
I
you were
think
cool
I told
as hell.
Alan the same
Same
thing back then.
conversation.
Yep.
He did the same
You walked
thing.
up and talked to him?
I did. And for me, that's a big step. right?
Yeah,
'Cause I don't-
yeah.
Like, I think me and Alan have a lot in common when it comes to that of just like not fucking talking to anybody.
Well, you're 100% right because if Alan talks to you and if you talk to him, that's a compliment. You're like, either he's super fucking bored, right? Or I'm not that half bad, right? Yeah, y'all are similar.
But I do remember thinking that was pretty cool.
Well, thank you.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was a fun little car.
That was cover Street Rod Builder.
I think so. Yeah. And Josh Mishler.
Mishler.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did I about killed Josh Mishler that day photographing that thing. We were he was standing up in it, photographing me driving down, and we're running about 60, and I hit a bridge on the thing. He about fell over the windshield, but he caught himself.
That'd have been a mess.
You know, it would have been a mess. Yeah, yeah. But it would have hurt the grill on the car and everything else. No, Josh was a good photographer and fun dude to hang out with back in those days. Good stuff.
What was your earliest memory of meeting Bobby?
It's at Paul Atkins' shop. Was.
Is that memory in black and white?
Now he's actually going to leave.
I don't know if he pissed for you or me.
Bobby that or Jesse that?
Either.
Just be for me.
Yeah, okay, I will. Could have been, but anyway. So yeah, I was working. I'd come down when I was a kid in high school. Still, my grandparents lived here in this area,
Right.
And Paul's originally from this area as well. Well, I'd come down, work summers, stay with my grandmother, work at Paul's shop, so I could be around the nice cars that he was doing, and Bobby was having some cars. He had just switched. I think who'd you just?
Bobby Griffin.
Yeah, that's right. Bobby Griffey was doing his stuff, and then he tried Paul out on a few cars, and I was doing stuff, and I was able to get to work on some of those, and that's when I first met Bobby. Real quick side note, one funny story. Remember that day we couldn't get the car started to leave? You were there to pick it up and left. You were up under the dash trying to figure the thing out. And it was probably me, to be honest with you. Whoever made the firewall panel, we staple them together to make the pattern. Somebody had stapled the coil wire because Bobby had put the coil up under the dash to hide it, put it out. So Bobby's up there.
He found that
Finding
staple.
it. Man, you come out of that dash real quick.
That's probably the reason I can't move now.
That's right.
So both of them tried to kill
I knew
Bobby.
it had to be something.
Right.
I knew
We've
it
all
had to be
probably-
something
Wasn't
they done
intentional.
because
Because
I couldn't have made a mistake. There's
Right,
no way.
right.
Blame it on the upholstery guy.
That's right. Yeah, but good time. So that was my first interaction with Bobby, and then from there it I don't know. We just kept going and seeing each other and all that. So it was good.
We
So
talked.
you electrocuted him and I tried to squash him.
That's right. That's it.
So that's 2 of his 9 lives. Is there more?
I'm sure there's.
We talked a lot about, earlier about shades in general, right? And obviously everything Triple Crown's doing now. But we talked about specifically how how big of an impact Shades of the Past has had on a lot of different builders in a lot of different ways, right? From relationships built there, top 25 stuff, what it's done for customers, you know, and it's something that if you know, you talk about it, right? But it doesn't get the prominence of like Riddler or any of this other kind of stuff. But there's so many great memories and like stepping stones that you can always, I know I can, and we talk to people all the time that you trace back to, well, we were at Shades, you know, or we were at Shades, and those things that happen. And that's just, I mean, hats off. Because
well, I think that we, as the club, we tried to get a place that people could show their stuff off, and we were fortunate enough to have the magazines to come in, so that really helped. And then the people from California like Boyd came and stuff like that, so you got to meet them. I mean, all of these guys, I'm sure you met Boyd at probably Shades of the Past for the first time. And but it was it was wonderful to be involved with it, and I just hated that it got over, you know.
Well, I mean, yeah, but all things, you know, come to an end. I do think that there's something special and specific, whether it was, you know.
No, you guys made it though. I mean, we just gave you a place to have it, and all the participants what made the show.
The fact of doing the top 25, right? That's 25 cars, but it's the top 25. It's such a great thing, such a big thing, but when you win that top 20, those 25 builders and customers that are there on Saturday, you know, it was always hot. God, that show was hot.
Yeah.
Hot.
Blistering.
But it's not, you know, sometimes we talked about egos and we talked about competitiveness and, you know, how that needs to kind of go away. We're all in this together. Once you win a top 25, like, everybody's partying all day long. Like, you're having a great time. You're all excited. You know, there's not like, you know, some other stuff where it's, you know, you're like, oh, man, nice car, blah, blah, great luck, best of luck, I hope you win. And you're walking away like, fuck that guy, I hope he doesn't win. You know, it's different. It's just, all in all, it's just a different experience. And Triple Crown's the same way. Triple Crown's exactly the same way.
It needs to be that way, Josh. It needs to be like a family event, and everybody has fun. And you always said, I made the joke, I had those shirts made that says, it's the Woodstock of car shows, and that's what, of course, you're too young, but back then in '69, everybody came. There wasn't no fights, everybody just had a good time. It was great music. We got a good time and great cars. So that's...
Well, Alan, you talked about it when you were on a year or two ago, whenever it was. You know, you had there were some pivotal moments and some great stories strictly around Shades and getting a car to, like, you lived, I mean, you're born and raised in Gadsden. Like, Shades was a big thing.
That was the
always
event I went to. I mean, outside of Birmingham World of Wheels, Shades of the Past was the first event I went to in '87 or '88. It was behind the Smoky Meadows Lodge, and they just put fresh limestone gravel down. It was a dust bowl. Everybody was bitching and complaining, but I was there seeing the stuff I had never seen before, and I've missed 1 year since then. I mean, but
they have the homemade ice cream machine then.
I don't know about homemade ice cream.
Hit and miss motor.
That's the first time that I ever seen George Poteet. Don Pilkington built him a Woody and brought it into Shades. That's George was a good sponsor.
He was probably in the ice cream line too, wasn't
he? Yeah, back then.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, it was always the nicest cars. I mean, that meant more to me in '93 getting a top 25 at Shades of the Past than Pros Pick at Louisville. I mean, I could have won the Riddler or whatever that year, but that was the biggest deal for me in '93 when my first car was top 25 at Shades.
I mean, just like all shows, but the story I know that I've got, and I know that Alan's told on this podcast, and we've all talked about before, about the grind and the shit you used to have to do to get a car ready for Shades. And then it was always like, there was no sneaking in. It's not like you could get in real early and put it in the spot, right?
Yeah.
It had to, you knew you had to be like Shades ready, which was enough to like drive it into the show while everybody, including Bobby, is watching you go through the thing. And that's a different gauntlet.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
You know, the crazy part about it, when we were over in the fields, you know, where it rained every year, we had to put straw down and stuff, people would come and they'd get there at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to get that front row deal. And it made us so mad because we had to get up to go over. Well, those guys would come in and they'd park, then they'd leave their car, go back to the motel and go to sleep while we're standing out in that friggin' field. So I said, I'm going to fix this. So that one year, the first ones that was there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, when we got there at 6, I put them in the very, very back. I said, we're going to start in the back this lean the front and then let the last one, that 10 o'clock guy like I always was, he got up front.
Thank you very much for that, because I'm not a morning person. Man, I hate nothing more than having to get up at like 4 in the morning to get to Good Guys Indy or get to Shays and park. And
they'd be lined up, and what would make you mad is you had to get up and let them in, but then they went back to the hotel and slept while we're out there with the gnats.
I didn't ever go back to the hotel to sleep.
No.
But I wasn't there at 4 either.
I know I learned early on in the career, I learned the proper way and the technique by watching Bobby on how to just do an absolute perfect power park. We talked about that. You just
nobody could park a car like Bobby.
4 or 5 cars, just roll in looking good and just park where you needed to.
Yeah. The key to a Bobby Power Park is it doesn't matter. If there's spot for the car, that's where you park it. That's where.
Or he just decides to leave or do whatever he wants to. The first year at the Triple Crown, we had everybody lined up and it was supposed to go. And we were nervous as you know what. And trying to get everything done, and it was awful. It was awful. Okay, Jesse decides he's going to fall in line just whenever he wants to. Well, we had him going in line.
No. Let me back it up. I'm the only one left out on the track. I'm like, shit. I think I screwed up. I'm not in line. They're probably wondering where the hell I'm at. I'm gonna go, because the guy telling the guys to go, he was way down, telling the last ones down there. I didn't know about it.
You had sort of won something.
Yeah, I know that.
And then we had to go all the way through, and he had to come back around, and then he gets 2 sets of awards. Which he shouldn't have got. And I had to go out to take them away.
in a fucking tea bucket, both.
Yeah.
And I'm a nervous wreck anyway because we didn't know what was going on, and it had got all screwed up. But anyway, it worked itself.
If it makes any difference, I felt really bad that day.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I'm sure.
John, you've done a lot with Bobby.
Yep.
I guess assume all that came from PPG stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah. So my first time meeting Bobby was in Detroit Autorama in 2011. I drove the Corvair van from Houston all the way to Detroit with no heat, no AC. And then I meet Bobby for the first time. He comes down, loves my work, and says, I'd like to have some of my cars shot in your style. So PPG is in on it. And I go, I tell you what, I'll go to Bobby's. I'll shoot everything. If you don't like it, don't pay me. So I went and stayed for a week, and we shot every car he had. Like we even shot, he's got what year's your gold Corvette?
71.
He's got a 71 all original gold. We even pulled it out and took pictures of it. So
And softball.
And softball, so his daughter plays. The only reason he actually had me come over was take pictures of softball.
Well, John, what I liked about it was that picture that was down in the basement at Cobo Hall of that little girl that was in that.
Oh, in the soapbox derby car.
Oh,
Yep.
It was,
That is
Yep.
great. That's a great photo.
So, which is also cool too, is his daughter got married the end of last year. So I photographed her from softball to this big, and I actually photographed her wedding too, which was kind of cool. I was more nervous shooting her wedding than I've ever been shooting one of Bobby's cars.
I bet.
But the last day I'm leaving Bobby's, like, you know how you get comfortable when you hung out with somebody for about a week? So as I'm leaving, I tell Bobby, I was like, hey, just so you know, you're not as big of an asshole as everybody says you are. And Bobby looks at me and goes, well, don't tell nobody.
He's got a reputation to uphold.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've been lucky enough to photograph almost every car he's built since 2011.
I'm
So
lucky enough to have you
Ah.
photograph.
oh, here's that money. Jeez. I think Jason gave me some cash.
Josh, you were talking about these guys. I feel fortunate to be their friend. I feel fortunate to met these guys because without these guys like that, I mean, look what they've done with the industry. I'm over the hill. Like I told you earlier, my wife's mother says I've lost my stinger. So I'm just cruising now. So
No, you ain't lost the stinger. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I'm getting chills just sitting here talking to all y'all because this is like,
the door's open.
well, it's a little cold. It's
Hey,
probably
you know how Bobby says, I feel like he felt like he lost his stinger. When I went in 2011 and photographed cars for him the first time, he goes, not really quite sure how many more cars I'm going to do with him. But since then, he's won AMBR, like 3 or 4 or 5 cars a year since then. It's like every time you go in, there's a shop full of stuff. But I think his Stinger is still pretty good.
Well, John, so what's the best car that Bobby's built, and what's the worst car Bobby's built?
Well, I like air cooled. He's got that awesome Volkswagen bus now. That's Cindy's favorite. So I really like, he just did that black 34 for Larry. Like, that car's great. Yeah. And then, like, I love Larry because Larry doesn't care if it wins anything. I was like, you going to put it in for street race? It doesn't matter. He just wants to drive it. So, but they just always seem to get better. And I love Rivieras, so Larry's Riviera is super nice too.
You know, you said something about Larry. Larry, you can't beat a guy like Larry Olsen.
No, Larry's the best.
He's wonderful. I'd tell you a little short story about him that make you laugh.
Yeah.
Up at Columbus, he sits over at the trailer, and I'm sitting over looking at him and across the street talking to somebody, and he's over there with one hand over his eye. And I thought, what are you doing? He's by himself. Well, what it was, there was a good-looking girl walking by, and he says, now this is him by himself, what's so funny. He says, my daddy always told me, if you look at that stuff like that, you'll go blind. He said, I'm going to chance it out of one eye. now, mind you, he's by himself over there, and I'm thinking, well, it must be true over there.
Just to believe it.
Shit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Justin,
guys.
Hi, Josh.
we've had a great podcast. There's some memes made.
One of the best ever.
Well, we had a good time.
Let's not go too far. How much you had to drink?
I'm drinking water.
Stickers on Jeff's truck.
There is. There is.
We talked about it. We've talked about it off air. We talked about it on yours. You do various degrees of business with all of these guys, but at the same time, we're all hanging out all the time. Mm-hmm. From somebody that came outside the industry, inside the industry, and have learned it along the way, what's your takeaway from? You hear all kinds of things on the outside about, probably more about that one.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
No, that's fine.
Sure.
Don't let anybody know that he's not that big of an asshole.
I guess I'm kind of the new guy to the industry. I started 11 years ago and was fortunate enough, for my podcast, I came from law enforcement, so I can talk to anybody and have talked to anybody. So people are easy for me. So whether they're a customer or not, it's not a big deal to me. And one thing I've learned, you're not going to have 100% of them 100% of the time. And loyalty, you've talked about it many a times. We get that. Yeah, totally get that. Coming into this industry, a male-dominated industry, like here, the egos are checked at the door. We're all hanging out, and we're just guys telling stories.
Right.
And it's fun. It's easy.
I don't know about how easy it is. It's easy being friends.
Your people skills versus his people skills. It's different. Josh talked to a lot more police officers than me.
Maybe I've learned all my people skills from all the police officers.
From all the law enforcement interactions.
From the back seat.
Yeah. But it's, you cops do like to talk.
Oh, we do.
So talk to me with City being guilty.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, I'm just here for a friend.
Oh, there's a process to get them to say what you want them to say. Some are better at it than others, but no, you come into it, you make friends. If they turn into customers, that's great. If not, our president is hitting 40 years next year in the industry. Everybody knows Ross has met him. Whether they use his stuff or not, it's I won't say it's not a big deal because it's important. That's what keeps the company going and stuff. But you just try to make an impact. You try to make friends. You try to put out a good product. You try to be a good person to everybody, and you run with it.
Jesse,
Yes, sir.
when did you have the idea for the restaurant? Or
This?
Yeah.
It had to have been there had to have been some car fucking pissing you off, something that was fighting you,
It's probably a few.
and you're like, you know what?
No. Actually, to be honest with you, we spent a stint in Nashville, so they had moved the shop up there from Cullman here up to Nashville. Went up there and had troubles with the real estate and building, and never thought about real estate. Not until it really got you in the ass. Then you start thinking about it, and you're like, well. So then I we come back to about 6 years up there. Had a bad bout with real estate and all that stuff, and Nashville's growing. Really couldn't support it up there, so we just tucked our tail, come back to Cullman here because we still had shop, mom and dad still had a house. I actually made good money on my house up there coming back, so so that was the start of it. I made some good money selling the house that I bought in Nashville, and thought, man, there's something there. I just made more money on a house than I really did in maybe a whole year of building cars. So, and so I thought, well, maybe there's something to that. So a couple years later, buying and selling a few properties around here, coming out of my slump from coming back, because I was pretty dark spot leaving, but got through that, started buying and selling, and ended up on this property here, and had this old barn out here that it's on the front of the property is the last surviving piece of this farm that I bought. It's 25 acres here, and I thought, you know what? I always loved breweries. I always loved going to them, taking the family to them. I always liked beer, and so I thought that'd be cool to make a brewery out of that beer or out of that barn, and just this small little place. Well, city, as I was building the car shop up the hill, got that finished, got moved into it, and wasn't really gonna lay idle for a while, get everything settled. And about that time, as luck would have it, an opportunity would have it, city came to me and said, hey, we got a brewer that he's looking for doing something, and his name's Paul White. He's the brewer here, and he'd worked at several other breweries here in Birmingham area. He approached me with an idea to do a brewery. Well, then that was good, so we tossed that around. Then the city came to us with Eric, the guy that owns Bloom Winery. So the winery came, and so now all of a sudden I kind of had potential for 2 tenants, and I thought, well, there's nothing like this in this area. You have to drive an hour from here in either direction, north, south, east, or west, really, to be able to have a place like this. And it's really lacking, because we would drive, I'd take the kids, load them up on a Sunday afternoon, and it's the only place we could go and relax was Birmingham or something. It was an hour drive, and it's like, I think this could support it here. I think it could, kind of like if you build it, they'll come. So I don't know, I just kind of laid my nuts out there. Here we are.
Just caution to the wind.
We're busy tonight, so it's good. I'm happy. So
You've done an amazing job. It's got to make you feel good.
You.
Like half the industry's here.
Well, half the industry, but it's a full house. I mean, forget about the industry because the industry is not paying the bills. I mean,
no.
You got a lot of customers here. Yeah. We're just drinking your beer. Right?
Hey, don't worry, you have a tab.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I guess we're contributing.
But no, that's what kind of led to this. It was just I guess just snatching up a little bit of our opportunity that come my way. And I wasn't going to do it, didn't plan on it, but it was there. So I was like, what the hell? I'm still somewhat young. So if it just totally fails, maybe I can recover from it. So, and it's something, it's a little diversity and from the car stuff, but yet it's still the same thing. Still got to put, you got to be creative with it and everything else. So it's fun side of it. So, and I got great people around me. Brewer. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Actually, all of you.
It is a great group.
But we got John Kane, my one partner, and Paul White, the other partner in the brewery part of it. So, yeah, it's good. So,
well, the next one I want to ask is, we're not trying to bash on anybody, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this about us. We're pretty nice guys, right?
100%. No.
We don't try to get into any kind of drama or anything like that. But we've got 3 of you that have won Riddlers. I know you've won multiple. I get it. I know that's coming. Before you even say you've won 2. Everybody knows you've won 2.
I've lost 3. I win.
No, I don't know. I think you lose there, too. I think I've lost 4.
You're in the industry. You've photographed every car that's every car. What is your view on the Riddler today?
Oh, you're
versus
yeah,
a
you
E3?
You are, yeah. You're
Thinking about that.
you're trying to get in the fucking weeds, huh?
No, I'm not. We're not talking about the show in general. We can be as broad as you want to be, but even if it's from a personal standpoint, a personal growth standpoint, a customer standpoint, a shop standpoint, what you look at, or if it's the cars that have won.
Yeah.
I view the vast majority of builders as a whole don't hold that show and award in the same value that I would have to assume that the three of you guys did when you built those cars to win. That's just a guess.
I think that's a good assumption. There's, and there's always that change. So,
It's been 8 years since I've been to Detroit. I've
Yeah.
been to a lot of other places every year
yeah.
in the last 8 years. So I guess that's a nice way of saying that.
Yeah, I think that is a good way. I think that's been about probably 8 to 10 years since I've been out there too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd ask Justin. I mean, I feel like would be the most non-biased
I
opinion.
really wish we'd move on.
Well, if you guys think about it, though,
It's a controversial topic, man. It
if you
is.
think about it, though, what's really good in the industry right now, even from a standpoint of the cars I'm photographing now, and I do blame some of it on you guys, and it's a good thing, is like how Survivor cars are. There's way more good drivable cars we would all love to have the keys for now being built than there seems to have been. And those cars that it's a work of art and it takes a lot of craft, but it used to be like there'd be 4 or 5 good contenders. Well, now it's like really the great 2, not the great 8. And like last year when Kindig won, like that car is so far ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
In the event,
Yeah, it was a winner.
And then this year it's just kind of everything looks kind of muddled together. But it's because the high end car is a driver now. Everybody wants to go on road tours. Everybody wants to, build a car that like people like when you go to Triple Crown, you're like, this car it flows well. It's done really well. And those indoor show cars aren't always built for that style. They're more to be on a pedestal and looked at that.
Sure.
So you went from that level of some of those Riddler cars being driven to now they're more like, you'll never see that car again after Detroit or an indoor show. You'll never see that car usually rolling into Triple Crown of rotting. But I mean, Kindig drove the vet in. So I mean, it was, but normally but we've kind of gotten that way with those cars now. And and the scene has went more toward nice cars you can drive. And people want to enjoy them. But it's good for the industry.
And the bar is high.
And the bar is high.
Whether it's your
for a
guys' car
driver.
or Ring's car or anybody's car sitting here,
Yep.
the ones you can get in and drive 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 miles like you guys have all done on road tours, I think that's way cooler.
Well, you look at the pink Roadster
Way
we
cooler.
did
Yeah.
last year. How many miles that car gone now? It's got a bunch.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's got a ton of cars.
They're driving that
the
car.
miles on some of Rydell's cars.
West Rydell car.
I remember leaving Good Guys Del Mar, and we fly in and out of Phoenix, and we're in the middle of the desert at 10 o'clock at night, and the white caddy passed us like we were standing still. Just blasting.
I have a video of it doing donuts in the snow that Jason sent me from up there.
The functionality.
Do you know that he drives that in the winter with Blizzaks on it? Because Agnes, he'll drive Agnes in the winter with 2 of his other dealerships with snow tires on it.
But the functionality all you builders have come up with to be able to put miles, be comfortable, and the manufacturers help. I mean, Vintage Air. I mean, you can't.
You can just say it.
not
You can
have
say it. Dakota Digital.
Dakota Digital.
Yeah.
I mean, we got some Balkas, but all in all, the being able to get into something and put it to use and side note, thanks for bringing Larry Olsen, Bobby. He's about 15 minutes from my home.
Oh, really?
We see his cars in town all the time.
Yeah.
I see more Bobby Alloway cars in Sioux Falls, South Dakota than I see at the shows.
Yeah, I know it. He calls me after he's went down the road at 130 miles an hour and something, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope something didn't break. But Josh, you were saying, I think the Riddler is judged more on a point system, and I think that's a problem because
I think so. I
each
agree.
category is a certain amount of points. Say it's 10 points. And you go through your whole category, and if it scores 90 points, it wins. I'm going to say this, and there's not a place for ugly. And you can have the best parts on the car, best thing in the world on them, best parts you've ever bought, and put them together, and it's still an ugly car. So they've got to be something. My wife says, surely don't use this Miss America thing again. But you've heard me say that. Miss America, she can sing, she can dance, and she's generally pretty. But you take some of these cars that points out very well. Paint is absolutely perfect, but a pitiful color. Interior is great. Suspensions in detail, blah, 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 blah. You put all of those pieces together and it still might not be an attractive car. That's one of the problems I have with it, because I said, if you could tell me what to build for a Riddler car, I might do it. But I ain't got a clue what to build, because the way that it's judged, and we changed the AMBR for one of those reasons like that, because it's more, you drive, and to give the Riddler some kudos on this, they do watch them come in now and turn and do this and do that, which I think is but I still think you ought to be judged by somebody that can build that car.
That's my opinion with Detroit, is you got to have somebody that knows what they're looking at. If you can't build what's in front of you, you don't have any business judging it. I can't judge a horse show.
We still need shows like that. ISCA years ago, I showed ISCA for back in the early 80s and stuff like that. And we used to have a lot of indoor car shows, and it was big. You was talking about driving. I grew up driving cars. We drove everywhere. We didn't own a trailer. And then, if you went to an NSRA event and you drove a trailer, you was disqualified. Well, then it sort of changed, and it went to trailer queens, and everybody called them trailer queens. Now it's went back the other way a little bit, and thanks to you guys too, building some of these survivors and drivers and stuff like that. But I think we still need the indoor shows like that. But this is just my opinion. I think we need to look at the cars a little different. They've got the Sloniker now, which is judged a little different way.
Yep.
And,
I agree.
And just stuff like that. But I think there's still a place for it. I just think it needs to be tweaked just a little.
Yeah, I promise I wasn't trying to get like any type of clickbait or bashing the Detroit, because I bring it up a lot because it holds such a place of prominence in my mind and my heart.
I agree.
From being so in this industry.
When I won it, I just knew a little bit about Detroit, and we took a single cab dually and a car up there, and every penny we had, and we were showing against Tom McMullen, the Street Rodder magazine. And I thought, oh gosh, when we pulled out, he had that white Vicky in there, and we ended up winning. But which was great. But that was in 1985,
Right.
So that's been a long time ago.
I think you're 100% right, and that's what I've been. We talk about it all the time. Is the industry has shifted, right? It's shifted a lot. At the same time, there still has to be the thing that you strive, right? And there's still those cars, right? And I think that there's, you saw it with Kindig last year, right? There's the talent ain't gone nowhere. Yep. The people, the customers that are like, oh yeah, I want to build the baddest and let's go win an award. That's not gone anywhere.
I have a question. Is that for you builders? Is that still a trend? Customers build me a car to win Detroit or build me a car to win Amber.
No.
Those customers fade away.
I don't know how many customers of the last 25 years of even ones that have won Riddler came in and say, I want to win the Riddler.
Yeah.
I think that's a customer that says, let's build a nice car, and the shop's like, I think we can win the Riddler.
Be brought back, but it's going to have to be brought back a little different way, I think.
Because you run into a lot of those nice cars that have been in the shop for 4 or 5 years, and now that they've made the judging a little more where you know what's going on for Sloniker, you see a lot of those cars go, oh, we're going to Sloniker now.
Yeah.
And it's like, so a lot of those cars the last couple of years have went for that were cars that were originally intended to go to Riddler.
On our end, I hear a lot more hype about Pomona than I do Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's being judged by builders.
Yeah.
By builders. Now, you do have an ISCA judge in there, which is good. You need somebody in there with a little voice of reason, I guess.
A fair shake, and there's not somebody that's going to be like, at the very end, go, no, I want this one to win. Like, there's some of that happens, and it's,
But the deal with like AMBR or Sloniker, the judging room has your name on a dry erase board. And they come around, you'll have, like this year it was 7 judges. My name was up on there, and you're asked, what's your top 3 cars? And I'm telling you, if you get in that same room with some of these other guys and you pick the wrong one, it took a long time this year to straighten a lot of stuff out. But they'll call your attention to it if it's the wrong car, if they think it's the wrong car, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
I really do.
Let me ask your take. You talked about the points situation in Detroit. I want to ask everybody's. We talked about this a couple episodes ago with Roger from Ironworks.
Yep.
Talked about
He
car
had a
shows.
great car.
Great car.
Had a great car at the Roadster show.
Yeah.
I mean, that car was
It's awesome.
that was a very nice car.
We don't have the answer, right? But we found it very funny. We all talked about it, that we talk about Detroit and say it's a points-based thing, right? They don't judge, ugly. They don't judge. You can't stand back and look at a car. You saying, if you don't know how you built it, how are you going to judge the difficulty of it, right? Then we go to, picks, right? The best pick here and the best pick here. It's subjective, right? So I like this. Right. Then you go to other stuff where it's like by builders. Maybe it's Sloanaker, maybe it's stuff like that. Because you always have the builders that, don't win, or a customer doesn't win. There's like, oh, no builders are judging it, right? So then you get the builders judging it at Sloanaker, and then it's like, well, that builder doesn't know what he's talking about. He builds this kind of car, and he builds this kind of car. At the end of the day,
It's always wrong.
all builders and all customers are always going to bitch if they didn't win,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't change. The only thing that, whether it's right or wrong, I tend to believe one way, but the Detroit thing is probably incorrect as it's been on the last
Well,
few
see,
years.
you were talking about somebody.
It's points.
I lost the 50th because Foosh and Rydell came up there, and every time I see Wes, I look at him and I point my finger and I said, "You're the one that caused me out of losing the 50th." Well, they get me a jacket. Or of course, we have fun about that. Me and Wes do, because it was. But he brought that Grand Master up there that year, and we took a red Roadster that I thought was really good, but apparently it wasn't good enough to. But anyway, it was.
Did you know that?
Huh?
Did you know that?
Did I know what?
That you didn't bring enough car?
No, I thought I brought it.
Hey, but once you
When you were there
once you got there,
and you could see the other cars, did you know you didn't have enough car?
No, I thought I had enough car.
okay.
But they explained to me the car that they brought was a really good car. It really was.
Yeah.
I got beat by a back seat and a top because it was more car. That was the explanation. But if I put a back seat in that Roadster, it would have had to been a rumble seat. And that wouldn't have really looked good on that car. Now, I could have put a top on it, but it didn't.
Oh, it was Detroit. It would have been fine if it was ugly.
But I have fun with Wes because he's a great guy, and he's done a lot for the industry. But we always look at each other, and he'll look at me and he said, "I beat you, didn't I?"
Well,
He did.
to my point. That's exactly to my point of, like, you're saying, I couldn't have put a rumble seat in the back because it wouldn't have looked good, and I did this, and I think my car
I don't
looked.
like the degree of difficulty that they say, because if you're going to build a Highboy Roadster don't have fenders on it. That's what you set out to
Hey,
build.
you got me on that. You told me the other car was a more difficult car to build.
I know. No, it wasn't. You want me to tell you what I told you?
You said that car was
Don't make me tell you what I told you. Look, I don't. So you're getting red faced now.
No. You said blackout behind the grill, and it was a bigger car.
You built one something that was broken?
No. It was the way it was sitting.
A little broken looking?
He knows the truck. He knows the truck well.
Josh, it was
the Roadster. It was the Roadster pickup for Amber.
One?
It
the
was
blue.
only
Did it
way
look
was sitting in one
No,
place.
it didn't look broken.
Is that what he's saying?
He had a rake to it. And it was cheering.
Two rakes.
Yeah. No chassis. No, it was Alan's chassis.
The two.
Oh, yeah. Alan fucked
Two
that
rake
up.
Roadster.
Kick those front rails too much, man.
That is.
Kick those front rails too much.
But the point was,
But
the
did I
alternative.
not come over to
Yeah,
you
you did.
right after that?
Yeah, you were wrong.
I
But
sure
yeah,
did.
100%.
And you did. And to this day, you said I was wrong. But we're still. I'm still friends with you. Are you friends with me?
That was a good car.
okay,
That was a good car.
It was a great car. The point I'm saying is, we all can say this. Like, this car had this. The alternative is the points-based system that we all don't like, right? Because it takes the objectiveness about what looks good out of it, and it's just checking all the thing. So at the end of the day, what we're saying is we don't like any of them. If you lose, if you win, everybody's good with all of it.
Say, if I'm having to answer to it, I always have to say, how can I tell you that you got beat, and how can I tell the other guy that he got beat by you? I have to look at it. How can you explain getting beat? And I think tried to explain it. You didn't agree with it, but I tried to explain it.
Water under the bridge.
I feel like I've always been able
That
to.
ship just come up to sail again. Yeah.
I've always been able to identify the car, like the better car, and it's easy to like in defeat. It's easy. I think the only time we got beat by a fucking Maverick one time for a Street Machine of the Year. Ford Maverick.
What? No,
Hey, I was due for a toolbox, damn it.
You remember the blue and silver twin turbo Mustang that I did?
Yeah.
I got beat by a Ranger pickup.
Did you really?
by ISCA car of the year or whatever by a Ranger pickup.
But it was a Ford fucking Ranger.
Well, what do you? You got beat by his Maverick?
Yeah.
Do you guys think, like, at the AMBR this year, do you think anybody's looking at Troy's car who, I think we can all agree that that's a fucking piece of artwork, right? It's hands down. You saw it, you can see it from 100 yards away and know that's the winner.
Last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You could see it the year before.
Do you think there was anybody there that was a contender that was like, I had him beat on, I had more chrome, I had more, my hardware was facing the right way?
No.
Do you think there was anybody who was pissed off about it? Any competitor that was pissed? Or
Not real
do you
competitors.
think everybody was like, yep?
Yep. You know, I was back to Alan brought that up with Bobby. That
And that's for that.
you know, Alan talking about when Bobby was at Detroit. Did you know you were beat? All the times that we've been up there at Detroit, I've been able to go around the show and see the cars coming and go. They'll pull a cover off or they'll load it out of the trailer, and I can be from here to the other side of that building, and I'll be like, fuck.
Yeah.
I just, and then other times I've been like, I think we got a chance here. So there's, but then again, that lends to the judging of peers, So I could build or possibly build what they've built, and I seen what they've done, and I was like, oh man, I've clearly gotten beat here before we even go through the whole judging process or anything. So,
But the people that's doing the judging can't see that.
no, they can't. They gotta be objective. Dan Webb always said it right. He was like, it'd be like me going umping the World Series. Yeah, I know a little bit about baseball, but I can't ump that game.
Yeah.
So,
Like the first year we went up there and with the Cabriolet, and your dad came over and helped
that's right.
do stuff. I mean, the only car I was worried about all weekend, it what won. It didn't beat us. We didn't win. That car didn't win. Something out in left field.
I know.
I
There's
never,
that too.
never considered. I mean, it was nowhere on the radar that won that year.
Which year?
97.
Similar to a Maverick situation.
That's just a sore subject.
What's that?
Nobody really knows that it went 200 miles an hour that he claimed.
Dude,
so-
they just said that it went 200. Nobody has proof that it went 200. It was just a thing to say.
The
It
Maverick?
says on the license plate it had to have done it.
Yeah.
We'll go up to the shop tomorrow, and I'll show you the little ticket. It was the East Coast Timing Association. So
I
hopefully.
think that this is probably a good. We've never touched on this, especially with everybody together. What's the worst loss that you've ever had?
The worst loss?
Worst loss. What's the worst?
I just told you.
That one was the Ranger. The Ranger couldn't have.
Ranger.
That's ISCA. That doesn't count.
You talking about like a car show or
Yeah,
just
car.
loss in general?
No, car. There's always those times of like the ones that we're obviously have already touched on. Getting beat by the Maverick was like,
That was tough.
it was tough.
Yeah.
Still friends, no problem. But there's those ones.
I hold a grudge.
Do you? There's always those ones you remember
So many parts on
that sting from whatever different reason, and it could be self-inflicted, but whatever. You've never really had. You've always come out on top
Alan?
Not always.
for the most part.
No.
Is Larry singing?
We've all had our
Yeah.
losing moments, but
Josh, I guess
whenever y'all lost to the Maverick, you didn't get mad and pout and show your ass and
No, we still
complain about it, did
we
you?
still partied with Jesse and drank beer that night.
But they still drank his dad's beer, didn't you?
When we lost to the Maverick, we still partied.
We don't give a shit.
And that's the thing.
Oh, shit.
At the end of the day, everybody should have the relationship to be able to talk about it just like what we're talking about it right now and know that it is what we all are competitive. If we weren't competitive, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
But everybody can't do that. There's some folks that
Well, yeah.
think they've got to show their ass and complain. I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere.
No,
But
because everybody remembers.
People don't.
I couldn't hear a thing.
Everybody remembers if you act like an a-hole after a while.
Yeah.
You think in the moment, like, I'm going to show this to Matt I am.
Yeah. That doesn't reflect
The other
well.
side of that, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they're all your buddies till that last
There's
award
nothing
goes out.
worse than because you should see them having to judge Triple Crown, like go in the room and you're friends with everybody and you're going, who do we live off of this? And it's like it's so super tough to have to watch these guys do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's people think it's easy. It's not, especially something like Triple Crown.
Last year, I made a terrible mistake with John Hall's car.
Oh,
And who did I call first?
Bobby was on the phone.
Because
And,
I had to. I mean,
Yeah.
and I owned up to it because it was I screwed up. And I called Jesse and told because it was one of Jesse's deals. And I said, what'd I say? I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah. It's
I
just
said,
nothing
"I'm
you
sorry."
could say. It's just,
Yeah.
it's sorry.
And I went and begged
it was-
John to
yeah.
forgive me.
It was totally heartfelt, and we went on. We're still here hanging out.
Right.
So, no, I haven't even thought about it actually until he just brought it up. So, yeah.
Now he's mad again.
No, I am.
Now he's mad again.
Yeah, now I'm pissed again.
When you realize Bobby's age, were you understanding how he could forget something like that?
There is that.
You know, I do that. I really take it serious. I really do because I put myself in your place.
Yeah.
And I know how I've been treated over the years, good or bad or whatever. And I try my best not to treat somebody the wrong way. And I honestly do. I take it that serious. And they'll tell you at the AMBR or Barrett Jackson or whatever that when I don't take it out on anybody or anybody else. I look at the car and I try to judge it like I own the car, and that's the only way you can do it and do it fairly and sleep of a night.
That's
what
right.
You can. But stuff like that, stuff like that really bothers me because you bring something there and you have one shot at it, and then somebody like me forgets it and you lose it. I can't make it up. I mean, it's sort of once the bell rings, you can't unring it.
Right.
You heard it ring, so.
Yeah.
What are y'all building? Go ahead.
But typically, I mean, that's what's made Shades of the Past what it was for all those years. And rolling into Triple Crown is your integrity and what you picked and what you done. It wasn't friends, it wasn't buddies. It was the best 25 cars. And for those of us that are friends and buddies with you, we had to bring something extra to the table.
Yeah.
Or we're going to get shoved to the side. And that was never a bad feeling. If I didn't bring enough car to Shades to get a top 25, I knew I didn't have enough car to get in the top
You weren't going to get a
25.
friendship pick.
I mean,
Well,
no.
trust me, Alan, I have judged some of your cars and you didn't win. And I really, it's and deep down you really said, man, I'd really like to help him, but then
But
I
knew it wasn't enough car when I brought it.
Do what?
I knew it wasn't enough car when I brought it.
Which car was that? You knew it wasn't enough?
There's been several of them.
Remember Shades of the Past
What?
when the Maverick all of a sudden was gone?
Yeah.
Jimmy had the Maverick at Shades of the Past, and we were going to show it that year. Coming off a big win at SEMA and doing the 200 and beating these guys.
And then it didn't show up.
And it did. All of a sudden, I woke up that morning early to Jimmy calling me. It was gone. His gas station that he owns had a car ran into the side of the building and broke
I remember that.
a gas line and natural gas line inside the wall, and they evacuated a block, and it was a big deal, and he didn't know what to do. He just left. And I thought, oh shit, I could have handled the car, Jimmy. We get the trailer home. You should have just unhooked and left. And I had to go over. Dad and I went over to Bobby the next morning. I was like, hey man, we don't have Maverick here or anything. And so it was a bad deal that week.
Yeah, it was.
And so
Hey, you talk about like thinking that maybe you didn't bring enough car, but what does it feel like when you brought that Cuda? Like when you show up with that Cuda,
That's too much car.
That's a lot. That's all the fucking cars. Did you know when you brought that car out? Did you know what it was, or were you so wrapped up in just building it that you didn't know what you did?
Well, I mean, for SEMA that year, yes and no. I mean, it was that car had been under works for a year and a half, 2 years, and shoved to the side. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it was back as hard as we could go, 7 days a week, as many hours we could go. I felt like it was something special going to SEMA, but didn't really know. I mean, nobody had seen it. Bobby had seen the shell of it. Bobby was at the shop probably 7, 8 weeks before SEMA, and this car is blowed apart. Yeah. Nothing's painted. and we took stuff off of it so he couldn't see it when he came down. But I mean, we started painting on that car like 3 weeks before SEMA. So yeah, we thought it was something different, but it was so different that I didn't know if it was going to be good or bad. And
It was pretty good.
well, but we didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we were just busting our ass trying to get everything done to make it. And I mean, it was literally as hard as we could go to probably, I mean, it's not the worst car that we've ever pushed to the end, but no, we didn't know what everybody's going to think about it. But we kind of hit on this the one time I was on the podcast before. I mean, I guess I'm selfish. I'm after my satisfaction and customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
If I'm happy and the customer's happy, I hope you guys like it. I hope Bobby liked it. But if you don't, I'm happy and the customer's happy. That's what matters to me.
Yep.
And we've talked about it all the time. I bet for the G-Force Cuda comes up, I would say probably more than any other car on the podcast. The chicane is right behind it. Yeah. And then when we come to street rods, we talk about 4 or 5 different street rods. And you're always like, this one, oh yeah, remember this one. But when it comes to when you come to muscle cars, it's generally the G-Force Cuda. When you talk about, the chicane's just a thing of its own.
Dude, that might be the unspoken only loss that Troy's ever taken, because they've never gone head to head.
Yeah, the G-Force Cuda probably beats the chicane
100%.
in mentions on the podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
Then on street rods, we start with a couple of them, and then it just basically comes back to the street rodder cover of Bobby rolling down the strip in the 3-car, and it's just like, all right, never mind. That's just what wins. I'm serious. It happens all the time.
I remember being at Nashville, I think one of the very first good guys, and they first started autocrosses. And here comes Alan out with the G-Force Cuda.
Spaceship.
Him and I are standing there, and I remember that day watching that car run. I was like, I gotta change shit in the shop. I want to build something different. Yeah. So that was that day. So that was a pretty cool thing. I was like, holy shit, that's badass. I wanna do something that'll go fast like that. And then we built a bunch of good road going street cars after that. So that was a switch for us. That was a pretty cool time.
Yeah.
And that was a special build for me, because I mean, we got to do a lot of stuff that hadn't been done. And Bob's favorite thing was he gave me an unlimited budget, and I exceeded it, but I don't know about that. But it was a fun build, because it did let us stretch the possibilities of what everybody else was doing at that time. But it was, I don't know what everybody still thinks about it today, but it's still one of my favorite builds that I've done.
Oh, yeah. I don't know of a more iconic car, honestly.
And fun car to drive. I mean, 1,000 horsepower, natural aspirated. It was a lot of fun.
Who's got it now?
Doug Cooper's.
Doug still got it? That's probably too much car for Doug. I think.
Way too much car.
All right, so what's everybody building next? What are you working on? What's the next thing to come out of the shop?
It depends. No. But now we got a little 32 Ford, actually, Woody, that we've...
32 Ford Woody?
Huh?
32 Ford Woody?
Yeah, it's a cool little car. A guy bought it, Bob Waters, out of a little north of Atlanta. He bought it, and auction. We brought it, taking it all apart. It was a really well-built car, but it was just, early 2000s car. So we've repainted it, repositioned engine, made it so we can drive it. and use it. So, and
That's cool.
we're gonna make some wheels for it, and that'd be a fun little project. So, some of the larger stuff would be a '61 Biscayne, so a post car. I'm excited about that car. And then, lo and behold, the Maverick's back.
It's back, coming back.
A lot of people don't know, but that car's been wicked up over 200, and Jimmy's in his hometown running 50 mile an hour, minding his business, and a girl cut him off, hit a curb, spun around. He thinks he hit full throttle, spun it around into a concrete wall, and just demolished it. So, thanks to Jimmy, he's a amazing repeat customer.
Is that coming back?
More ways than one for all of us, but
is that coming back exactly the same?
exactly the same.
No.
The car did so well. No, sorry. We know Justin now, so we're changing the gauges in it. So it's getting one of their new
so then
dashes.
this fucking throws the whole speed thing out the fucking door. Like, we don't know how fast he went.
I think it's gonna do
Too, Jesse.
I think it's gonna do 270 now.
So at least you'll know how fast it goes because the
Or
gauge is a
140.
Yeah, or 140. We don't know.
I might need those back. They only 255 is where they top out.
Oh,
We might have to
okay,
have Brandon
okay.
work on that.
What about you? What are you working on?
52 Cadillac.
Oh damn!
That's a big car.
I thought you were slowing down.
We are.
You ain't painting that car black.
Do what?
You ain't painting that car black, are you?
That'll look good black.
It'll look great.
Of course
black.
he is.
It's not a car to paint black.
And a Pantera.
No, we're doing one of those too.
Huh?
We're doing one of those too.
Really? Yours will be cooler.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Mine's carbureted.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put a Boss
You
429.
put the motor in the front. You put the motor in the front.
It'd be easier. Sure would. I put that Boss in it. We figured out. I don't know where I'm sitting at now. So.
Alan.
Cadillac too.
We're doing another the Cadillac you guys were doing for George that Bob bought. We've got that car going together. 63 Corvette for Bob. Roadster pickup for another teenage girl, which is kind of
A different customer?
different customer.
You found your little niche, haven't you?
I'm starting to
Teenage girl street rods.
It's the shirts.
That'll be cool.
80 Trans Am that we're doing for Angie. That
Cool.
I don't know if it'll be finished this year or not, but
Will it be finished this year?
it would have been if Bobby hadn't gotten involved. But Bobby's painting it.
Oh, really?
That car was good. You painting it?
No, we couldn't do that car. That's what I'm
Oh.
complaining about.
It was too good a car to cut up.
It ain't no cutting that. Oh, my goodness.
Not when you could found another one. Not too good.
Bobby spoke up. He said, "Don't take that far apart." He said, "I'll paint it if that's all you don't want to do." So he's talked himself into something he don't know about yet.
I can't hear a word he said.
You talked him into painting a new car
Oh,
instead of just building the one he had.
I did.
I didn't know you had.
That's what
you were
he said.
nostalgic.
I
didn't know you were real nostalgic on cars.
I'm not. Angie wanted me to do that, though. She told me she didn't want to tear the car up. So she said, talk him into that. Was at Columbus. So I went over and talked him into it. So it's sad that I can talk him into something that his wife can't. It's the shirts.
It's the shirt.
You know, we undressed on stage together. You remember?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I'll never
Forgot
forget.
about that.
You do it one time, you're scored for life.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't unring that bell like he said.
No, no, the bell's been rung, man.
You get any blackmail pictures?
I do. There's a full video up on my YouTube channel.
Well, when I got called out, that was the quickest thing I could think of. I said, "I'm not getting up here by myself.
Nope.
If I dare a redneck to get up here, I won't have to do it by myself."
Fellas, it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun time.
Dakota Digital keeps on kicking it. New stuff coming.
Yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff on the drawing board.
What's the latest and greatest, man? What?
Well, SEMA was good to us. We got the new drive-by-wire cruise control that came out and won Best Engineered. We're following that up with a mechanical version to replace the push-pull version right now. Late spring, early summer, hopefully it'll probably be at Columbus.
Sweet.
Bunch more applications. The list just keeps growing, and the phone calls and emails of what the new popular things are always going. So some big projects going on for a lot of the builders. So good stuff.
Where are you gonna be at next? Probably right in Chicago, right? He was listening to the last podcast. We were giving him shit about he's always around and never comes by. He's texting me. He's like,
he listened to that?
I'm listening. I'm driving.
And he
through
still
Rockford.
doesn't
I'm driving
I was
through
in Rockford when I
right now.
listened to that podcast. So I actually, I am bringing the Corvair van back out this year. It's back on the road.
That also
has
won't be
either-
coming by our shop.
It either has the world's most expensive 15s or the cheapest greening wheels ever.
Fellas, it's been amazing. I'm glad we could sit down and do this.
It's been a blast, guys.
Dan's running us out.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See you again next week.
Thank you for coming, boys.